What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. So, had to do another video today. I know it's been a couple of days. I know I've been slacking a little bit. You know what I mean? I got some things in the works. All right? I got some things in the works. And no, I don't say that when I have absolutely nothing in the works and just want to, have an excuse. I do have things in the works. I promise y'all. All right, now let's get right into it. You read the title, you saw the thumbnail, no more beating around the bush, the problem with gun violence stats. So I'm sure some of y'all are thinking in your head, gee, Mark, what could be the damn problem with some fucking stats? Y'all are probably thinking in your head, dude, you are picky. But, I am 100%. Yes. So the problem with gun violence stats, in short, is that they're false and completely overinflated. That's the best way to say it in short. With some level of detail, which I'd be more than happy to give. Essentially, a majority of gun violence deaths are not gun violence. What would be gun violence, you might ask? If I go shoot somebody, that's gun violence. I don't think I have to go too much further in detail what gun violence itself actually is. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, well, if it's not gun violence, why is it under the gun violence stat? Well, what it is I'm not going to say the word because, honestly, my Instagram is actually 2 of my Instagram accounts have gotten suspended already. I don't want my YouTube account, which is my favorite source of social media, to get suspended. It is, self-unaliving is what the other YouTubers call it. Self-unaliving. Making yourself hit the big sleep. That covers around half of gun violence deaths. That is almost half of them. That is not gun violence. That is not gun violence. Those are people who were very clearly suffering and people who very much so needed some help. People need to understand that when you hear a stat, you need to look into what makes up that stat. You can't just take it at face value. Why is that? Because a lot of these companies that put out the statistics have a political ideology that they want to be pushed. They are being funded by somebody. Senile, dementia-riddled old man. I wonder who I could be talking about here. With a crackhead son. The truth of the matter is that when you take out the people who have unalived themselves, we're looking at a much smaller number here. 50% taken away from that is not nothing. Now, here is another thing that needs to be brought up as well. You know what's also included in gun violence stats every now and then, and has been found so several times? Self-defense shootings. That is not gun violence. That is somebody defending themselves. I can't believe we're even sitting here discussing this, but the reason why I'm sitting here discussing it is because of the fact that these numbers are so obviously overinflated when you actually look into the details about it and you see, oh, this is where they're getting their numbers from. Dude, it's almost like they forgot to take away a good few zeros here. It's almost like they forgot to take away a couple of digits off of this bitch. It is not normal. It is like, the numbers are obviously so false and overinflated. It is insane. The truth of the matter is that what is left after people who are unfortunately unaliving themselves and people who are being forced to defend themselves, what is left is actual gun violence. So let's say even people defending themselves is only 10% on that list, which we know that's not the case, because the FBI was found to have hid a ton of self-defense situations from their statistics. I think it was last year or the year before. We're talking like upwards of over several 100,000 instances. Guess what? What's left is actual gun violence. Now, let's look at the actual gun violence and see what's really happening here. Is it some crazy guy who's going around killing people? Is it, a bunch of mass shootings, as people love to say, as the anti-gunners love to say? No, what is it? It is gang violence. Like, it is gang violence, guys. That's what a majority of gun violence actually boils down to. Like real gun violence, that's what a majority of it boils down to, is gang violence. Now, once again, anybody who knows me in real life knows how I grew up. Y'all know that I grew up in the hood. That's not an issue. I've been around gangs plenty of times. That's not really my concern here about there being gangs as a whole. Every country you go to, there is some sort of gang. However, the truth of the matter is that these are also the same people who are hitting drive-bys on houses, completely missing and hitting random 3-year-olds. These are also the same people who are, shooting up people's grandmother's houses. These are the same. You see what I mean here? The truth of the matter is that when you take out gang violence, and why would you take it out, you might ask? Well, because if the police actually did their job, I'm sorry, but the truth of the matter here is that if the police, the prosecutors, if the entire judicial system actually did their job and punished criminals for their actions, then guess what? We wouldn't be having a tenth of the gang violence issue that we have here in America. All right, the truth of the matter is that in a lot of states where gangs are damn near running the streets left, right, up, and down, guess what they have? No punishment. They don't fucking punish criminals. They don't sit here and say, oh yeah, you just shot up a house that killed a 3-year-old. You're going to be in prison for the rest of your life. You'll be lucky if we don't give you the electric chair. They don't do that. They don't do that no more. You know what they say? Oh, well, a couple of years and then a year probation, you're out. You'll be fine. You didn't mean to. We know you didn't mean to. They don't hold anybody accountable anymore. So guess what? When you sit here and say, okay, yeah, we're not going to hold the people who are actually causing the gun violence accountable, so therefore we can't even have a justifiable reason for why gun violence numbers aren't going down. So what are we going to do instead? We're going to overinflate these numbers, make it seem like gun violence is such a much larger issue in the country than it actually is, so that one, not only are we not to blame for the numbers not dropping, but two, we get more funding to help stop the gun violence that doesn't exist. People unaliving themselves and people defending their lives is not gun violence. That's the biggest issue with all of these stats, is what they consider gun violence is anybody who died because of a bullet. That doesn't mean that, oh yeah, they died because they were innocent or anything along those lines. They're just counting people who have died because of a gunshot wound. That's completely ridiculous. That's okay. For example, you know how there's a study a while ago about, concussions in the NFL, right? So that would be like me saying, oh yeah, to back up this study, we're going to look at every single concussion in the country from every single instance of somebody getting a concussion, a car crash, them falling, smacking their head, them getting hit too hard, everything. We're going to include all of that into the statistics for the NFL. Those are all NFL concussions now as well. That's the exact same thing as what they're saying, basically. None of it makes sense. It's not going to, because all they want to do is trick you to take more of your money. Because guess what? If they get more funding, who does that come from? The government doesn't magically have money. All right. They take it from us. All right. The taxpayers. All right. With that being said, I don't want to sit here and keep going in circles. But the truth of the matter is that gun violence stats are extremely overinflated. If they rarely are factual, if ever, and I mean you have to actually find the most unbiased source possible to find an actually like true, legitimate, factual gun violence, real gun violence rate. It'll take a lot of finding, all right? So with that being said, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And if you agree with me, make sure to check out all my other videos, obviously. If you don't agree with me, make sure to do some actual damn research on gun violence stats and then go check out all my other videos. You got to do that as well. That's still a requirement. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, oh God, I've had a good time with this video. I don't know if y'all can tell. As I said, though, whether you agree with me or don't, make sure to check out all my other videos. With that being said, y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.